Today's a development day, which is always a fun day. Hopefully it's a day of discovery. So over on the Rogue rig, we've got it built out where the basic brakes work. And actually the old one, I know, had 187 combinations that we consider common machine brakes. This one, we're up to about 60, and it should surpass it in the end. But what I want to do today is I want to try to build out what diagnostics capabilities are built into these that we don't use. For example, your 5069 IB16s and 5069 OB16s, they have an incredible amount of diagnostics built right into them. And I am yet to see a single program that actually has them in it to help us out. So I want to start mapping them out and then, start identifying, okay, how should we put those in so they're also not nuisance trips? And probably in the end, this might be an okay video series. Today's isn't going to be. You're just going to see me probably fumble around and discover a lot of things that we can do with these products. For example, the PowerFlex 525, it has that scattered read message, and we've done a video on it. I think we have. If we haven't, we should have. But also, I've fumbled into some really cool parameters in it. Here's where all of a sudden I'm like, has that video came out yet? Yeah, because actually way over there, the motor starter trainer. Oh yeah, I don't think it has came out yet because I just released Saturday, I think, the video on how to wire a basic motor starter. But then while I was doing it, I recorded how to troubleshoot and measure a motor. And then we were like, well, what can we learn in this PowerFlex 525? And honestly, I found some parameters in there that were stellar. Kind of along yesterday's, we learned this is on IO-Link, and if I leverage that index and sub-index on IO-Link, we can get a lot of cool diagnostics out of it. And then the group, I can't imagine the E300 not having a lot of cool things. And yeah, I probably should do a video featuring it. But then the IO over there, we built out a series on the scale and its Ethernet switch, but it has a lot more diagnostics we hadn't even played with. And yeah, we got a motion controller here. And over here, we got all these IO-Link thingamajiggers. So we go on into our controller tags. And we go down to local. And then local :1:I. And yeah, we got some really cool diagnostics here that I don't know that I have ever seen anyone use. So we have a sequence count, and I do want to play with it. Because one, I want to figure out what are nuisance values on it too. Is it, are there times that we get an odd thing on it? But if you open up every one of them, they also do have a fault data, and they have an uncertain. And I need to do a little Googling on what exactly an uncertain condition is. But what I really see as useful, and usually when people see it, they're like, that's strange, is this is an output module. Local :2:O, that is this 5069 OB16. But we do have local :2:I. And one, it has that sequence count, but every single output module has, and right now we're faulted. Why are we faulted right now? Okay, well, there you go. I need to figure out why that is. But mainly we have a no load and we have a short circuit condition. And I do think you have to enable the no loads because I think they do cause some nuisance situations sometimes. And I'm not sure if you do or not. Now the question is, are we going to have that same module properties issue where I got to reboot this computer? There we go. Will somebody tell me what this adds to our experience? We added all this fancy graphic, and now I got to click 5 different places to find stuff. I really don't see where that helped anybody out. But all right, we go to points. Enable node load diagnostics. Well, the first thing we're going to do is, just because this is the way we do it, we're going to check that box. We're going to hit the apply button. And we're going to do it without inhibiting because this is a test situation. And then I believe we're going to go hit the safety reset. And we have a very angry output module. And yeah, we do need to figure out that one. Probably should have figured out that one first, but we're already on to this one. So I'm going to hit my safety reset. Okay, so right away I see that was a really bad idea to check the boxes on all, because now I have lots of flashing thingies that I don't know why. So we do need to be selective apparently about the no load. I'm trying to figure this out. No, it's that they're off. So really all our unused if you have an unused output, don't check the no load box. I got it. Okay, so I unchecked all of the ones that didn't have or weren't used. And mainly, probably the first thing is this diagnostics active. We don't want it being a nuisance. So now what I'm gonna do, let's press the E-stop. Right now we have a 30, let's see what that does. And that indexed it by 16, because you have 16 outputs. All right, so in the end, I know that means I don't have field power, and I kind of feel that there would be a no field power here. Let's see, let's just go over here, and let's see, each one of these has a little dot, dot, dot on it. Let me drag this over a little bit. Yeah, we got a little heartbeat thing on this one. We hit that. Field power not present. So I feel, how are they doing that? Well, at an increment of 16, I guess they're saying if all 16 outputs have a fault. Because yeah, you have a no load, you have a short circuit, and you have a general fault. I guess, whoops, you can't see where I'm at. You have a no load, short circuit, and then you have a general fault. And I guess that means field power not present. So let's see if we can build out something for this. The first thing I think I want to do here is I do want to create a separate routine for this. Because one, actually, what am I going to do here? Yeah, and it's not that I'm trying to be dirty with this one. This is a troubleshooting program also. I think some of y'all have seen in the previous videos where we have different codes. This is the animal program, and it usually has a lot of breadcrumbs leading you to the problem compared to like the 50 state program. That's for my guessers. But I should have a routine over here with source protection, just so they can understand that more than anything that they need to be watching that someone's not doing it. So I'm actually going to add a diagnostics routine to this just for me to practice with, and I'm going to put it in this one. So that way later on in the week we can show them that and see what other ways we could do diagnostics. So we're going to call this diagnostics. And I am going to do this one in ladder. That way, when they open it up, we could talk about it. I had a previous one in here, and it was done in structured text, and I didn't even have it source protected. And that seemed to prevent anyone from ever opening it. But okay, so really, it looked like if I had a 1 in all of these, that means I probably have a problem with field power. So we're going to start off with just a look for a 1. And we're going to look for a 1 there. And I'm going to copy and paste that 15 times. And the next question is, what do we do with this? And a lot of you have asked for me to do videos on the alarms, the digital alarm and the analog alarm. And I've played with these. And I can be honest, I wasn't really excited about them. So, I don't think I would do that in the field. I don't see these being used a lot. And even when I do see these being used, you can tell they're just using it because it was the thing that they ran into first and they thought it was neat. I think I would go old school here, and I would bring an output energized down, and we're going to make a tag called, I don't know, how about alarms and warnings? That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So I'll say alarms and warnings. And then we can kind of triage a little bit even here, but probably we'll build this out into an ignition system. And this will be interesting. I really I got to think about this because, I would never lock this down normally, but we have an opportunity here. But for now, all this is going to be open because I don't have class until January. I can always just take this routine out for now. But honestly, I would probably just make a dent. And for now, I'm going to make it with what am I going to make it even? I'm going to make it a dim 0 of 10, which there's a shortcut way you can do it. But I'm going to just, dim 0, 10 and create And then we're going to go in here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Control Z. Then we're going to double click into that. We're going to hit our arrow here. Alarms and warnings. 0. Yeah, really, that gives me 320 alarms. And I'd be curious to know your thought on that. I mean, what do y'all think about that alarm instruction? I mean, I kind of see it as a little obscure compared to some basic seal-ins and alarm resets. I mean, you know, it gives you the acknowledge and everything, but I guess traditionally I see that done in a SCADA system. So I don't know, we're going to build this out and find out. And of course, we'll go ahead and highlight this because y'all do it all the time, and I do it half the time, even though it is on my mind right now, is I hit the finalize button. And yeah, I know we have a warning down there, but you're going to have 2,000 warnings and you're never going to pay attention to them on your machines, as this is all true across here. Yet this has a 0 in it over here. And here's where I stress, look for those green bars. Before this will even run, we need to go to the main routine and we need to add a JSR. Now, a lot of you are going to look at this and be like, Tim, why are your JSRs not at the top? This actually is, this program is the design, I shouldn't say design, is based off a group that wrote this, and it kind of goes through the evolution of how they wrote their program. And yeah, you know, they kind of got through way down to here, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we should have some of this divided up. So right down around here, you can see where they added, well, they realized they needed a PID, so they added a function block there, and they added some more features. And then they finally came on down here somewhere. I forget where even they did. Yeah, and then all of a sudden they started realizing they needed to break their stuff up, and they did that. So no, I'm going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to copy and paste this JSR. Oops, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do this one. And we're going to go and put in diagnostics. And my semi-OCD is going to say that I want to put these in alphabetical order, even though in this case it probably won't matter. We'll finalize that. And then we have our first alarm and warning. Now, along with this alarm and warning, and here's where, you know, we need to start, you know, I wish y'all would test your alarms and warnings more, is the next alarm we really need, which we have right now, is the e-stop pressed. So over here in our safety task, we do have, where is it? Right there. And right now we're looking, we need a 1 in this 01. That's our safety. So if we don't have that, then we have a problem. So I go over here and we bring a new rung down and we're looking for a 0 at, I think it's called emergency, nope, it's called e-stop. It's not called EM stop, it's called ESTO. Well, here you go, follow your arrows. It's called emergency stop 1, 01. We look for a 0, and that's going to be our second alarm. And we'll finalize that one. Yes, I know we need to put some descriptions on these. But I want to get to this point right here is now when we press our e-stop, we have 2 alarms. That's not good, because if an operator, or even we'll say a level 1 technician, goes to an HMI and they see 15 alarms, they're going to call, be like, hey, I need a programmer. Something's got scrambled in the PLC. So we kind of need to triage our alarms. So if our e-stop's pressed, we're not going to have any field power. So we don't need that field power alarm. So now we're going to go and start a rung edit on rung 0. And we're going to go look for a 1 down. And we want to look for a 1 at that e-stop OK. And finalize that. And now we get that first one off. Let me throw a couple descriptions here. So the next thing really was, I think on each one of them, I think would be the open circuit or the no load and the short circuit. I'm not sure what a fault condition would be if you don't have a no load or an open circuit. But for now, I'm going to add the no load and the short circuit for each one of them. Yeah, I did say each one of them. That's something that probably comes up a lot in our advanced class is, we go through, this will be the first trial going through the Rogue rig. We went through the unfamiliar machine before, and you didn't just have to simulate the brakes and figure out what was wrong. You had to figure out how to discover it in ladder with the devices you had, an alarm. And a lot of them were like, well, couldn't we group all of those alarms together? And I'm like, okay, but why? Electrons are cheap. Let's go ahead and make an alarm for each single output. That way we know it. And even then, I wouldn't group the output one and output, or the open load and the no load, or open load, no load. That's the same thing. Open load and short circuit. I wouldn't group those together. I mean, I would have it individually. Now, when we walk up to that HMI or SCADA system, we know with almost, 90% certainty what we need to go grab. Now, very similarly to that, we didn't want that e-stop, or we didn't want our field power alarm if we didn't have an e-stop. I don't think we want any of these alarms if we don't have field power. So I kind of feel like, oops, I didn't want to drag. Yeah. Well, actually, copy and paste this. And then we drag that over there. So we want to look for a 0 right there. And then, I don't know what uncertain means yet, but we probably should alarm for uncertain. So I'm going to drop in uncertain, no load, and short circuit, and individual alarms. And, a lot of people get fixated over here trying to make this bit 2 lines up with over here. I'm not going to do any of that, because really in the end, we're going to drop all this into ignition and do our alarming over there. Also, while we're at it, a lot of people don't realize that when these boxes are gray, that means they have been used. So as you're going along, you can just grab the next white one. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way down. Now, I could highlight these 3 rungs and copy and paste them 15 times. 15, 3, 45. That would give me 45 places that I got to modify, mainly this all the way down. I already got to modify this already down. I might be able to work some magic. I think I can work some magic on it as well. But I'm not going to do that. I am going to highlight these 3 rungs, and we're just going to copy them. And then we're going to open up whatever our spreadsheet editor is. In this case, I got LibreOffice on this image. And I'm going to paste that in. And then we're going to do some fancy pants editing. And then we'll end up with this. I probably could have gone overboard and fixed that, but I'll do that over in Studio. Is we're going to grab all but the top line, because we already copied the top line out. It exists. And we're going to copy all that. I'm going over to Studio. You think you want to right click and paste, but you can't. We got to add a new rung in. We add a new rung. And then we can double click on that rung. And I'm going to show you, because you're going to get really super discouraged here, is you're going to try to paste this in. And you're going to hit that enter key. And oh no, we end up with all this crazy unknown stuff. Now we're going to hit that undo button though. And we're going to do it again. Whoops. Let me get that one out of there. We're going to do it again. And a lot of people don't pay attention to this little ASCII texting majigger right here. But if we take that and we make it neutral text, and we paste it in, and then it thinks a little bit. Come on, don't let me down. Uh-oh. Is it letting me down? Or is it thinking really hard? Or did I crash the computer? Here's one of those times it's like, do we patiently wait on this? Or did I just totally screw up? Oh, there it goes. It was just thinking really hard. And yeah, we just pasted 50-some rungs in with one little simple Excel thingy. Now, very similarly, I don't want to have to put this in every single one of them. So we're going to go up here to Tools, Export, Tags and Logic Comments, and that should be good enough. I'm just going to stick this over here in somewhere. Then we'll do some fancy spreadsheet thingamajiggers again. And we'll go over here to Communications. Oops, not Communications. I'm so used to going there. Import, Tags and Logic Comments. And we'll go back to that same little spot. And grab those tags and let it sit there and think a little bit. And there you go. Now we got all our descriptions in. Hopefully I lined them up right. That would be a miracle. I did. Woohoo! Now y'all know how much I do love y'all scrolling up and down through the program trying to figure out if you have an issue. So now I'm going to add a rung, and actually I'm going to add this one to the top of it because this would be what I want to see first. I'm going to put an NEQ instruction. So we're going to do the compare tab, and I got to get used to, I'm on 37. It's an NE instruction. And we're going to look at the smart alarms and warnings. So I'll backspace out that .0. We're just going to look at that. If it's not equal to 0, and then we're going to put an OR, because we are using 1 now. We'll put that in there. And we'll go ahead and just, for now, grab a bit here. I'm not exactly sure how or if I'm going to integrate this into the actual training rig, but I'm going to put alarm or warning present. That's what it should be. Yeah, just that way I can look here and figure out when I'm getting a nuisance alarm, which right now we do have an alarm because my emergency stop is pressed. But okay, thinking back, I think that probably would be a good start on the inputs. Now, the one that I am seeing, on the outputs, the one I am seeing that I'm still kind of fixated on is right here, this sequence count number. I don't know what to do with it yet, but it's probably not an alarm that it changes, but this is something we should be logging in the background. Because if all of a sudden, we think things are going normal and this goes from 46 to 460, that would give us a lot of info compared if it went from 46 to 47. So I'm not sure long-term what the best thing to do there is. And also, I'm not really 100% sure. Well, why wouldn't we do the fault on these? I'm not even sure how you get a fault on one of the inputs. I guess I need to learn how we would get a fault on an input. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with my faults now, my input faults. I ended up with a nice unplanned learning opportunity in this last one, and this actually is gonna be a really good example of don't get too OCD about lining your order or your order numbers up. I gotta go do orders. Lining your bit faults up. Looks like in my copy and paste and I did something wrong on rung 57 and 58. So we go up here and I put in 24 twice. Oh, okay, this one's not a big deal. I skipped over 25. So we start a rung edit here. We hit that drop down. We hit that. And sure enough, 25 is not used right now. Okay, so it wasn't as great of an unplanned learning opportunity, but I guarantee you, I'll screw up by the end of this. That way y'all can see what I was thinking. And so, yeah, that takes care of that. Now, one thing, when I was spilling down, or doing this one, I spilled over into 2. So I didn't think enough into the future up here on this. I need to go ahead and put all of these in. I am going to build, it's going to be a lot of alarms. Now, one thing I want to make sure of as I'm doing this, and really this can be good later on diagnostics, but I want to make sure we're not getting nuisance trips, kind of similar to that sequence count. I'm going to put an alarm counter in here just so that we know that all of a sudden if I do something over there, we don't get 15 alarms or something. So I'm just going to put alarm count, and we'll go ahead and create it. And here's a good example. I'm not even going to put a preset on this one because, yeah, I just want to see if that value jumps up a crazy amount. And, now you may be thinking, especially if you're, looking at this video, actually doing this. That was weird. Was that you? Oh. Wow, this seems like a whole lot of work for something that probably will never get used. First of all, you said probably in that sentence, which means it could be a tool. And okay, we set this up one time for a 5069 IB16, and we're done. We can just copy and paste it. We can have it as some code to do. Another question I can imagine, and I really do disagree with this. A lot of people will be like, well, we could just map those tags into ignition. And don't get me wrong, I like ignition. We're having ignition training in January, but your machine, your PLC will long outlast the SCADA system that is on it. There will be a new something another that has, and it'll be dated, and whoever rewrites it will never put the diagnostics in because they don't take that into account ever unless you're on the technician side. Plus, you know, usually we start in the ladder. It'd be great if we could see it over there. You know, it's kind of funny. Rockwell, they announced, I think this week, because I know it's been out a lot, is that the PLC 5 software, RS Logix 5, they're finally obsoleting. And people are up in arms about that. You know, which, first of all, okay, how long have they supported that for since it's been discontinued? A boatload of time. But yeah, there are tons of PLC 5s out there. And a lot of people, oh, you need to change that to control Logix. Well, no, none of the thing's still running. It's hard to get it on the radar. So, yeah, think long term when you're thinking about these. I just want to make sure I'm not getting some crazy nuisance alarm, so I'm going to pull the e-stop out. And then I am going to hit my safety reset, which makes all my things happy. And I should not have got a count on that. And I did not. I had a count of 1 when I walked away. So now I'm going to press the e-stop, and hopefully that only goes up to a 2. So press my e-stop. And my count went up to a 2, so we're good there. Well, that was on our basic inputs and outputs, and I do want to, I am going to short circuit some stuff and take some loads off to act like a relay coil's burn up and test that. But we've already discovered an incredibly difficult learning opportunity, and apparently it does happen a lot, and that's on the safety module. So I want to dig into the safety module because once you get that thing angry, it's hard to get it unangry. And it doesn't really clearly show you in studio what's going on. And we're going to go down into our I/O configuration. And yeah, I'm going to start on this output module. Similar to up here, you know, the diagnostics on the outputs, I think, would take priority of the inputs. And I've already really taken a licking on this module. Some weeks, Barry, Bruce, and I, one of us will flip the switch and the other has the troubleshoot. And I got to be honest, if there's one switch on this, and it's not that uncommon, but if that gets flipped and I don't realize which it is, or they're not physical switches anymore, which is really cool. We're going to have a random button on it as soon as I get all this roughed out. But if this switch gets flipped, I mean, I will be stumped for, possibly an hour trying to figure this out. So one, it's a really good exercise, but also, yeah, this is one that our machines, we need to dig in and figure out how to solve. That means we're going to be going into local 4. And we're going to be on local 4:I. And we have that same diagnostic sequence count, which definitely seems important and probably is more, well, I shouldn't say more important. It probably is important on the other one. But then over here we have our readback, fault, uncertain, short circuit, field power, and status. And look who just walked in. Amber's looking really festive. Well, that probably means that my day is just about done because, yeah, I mentioned I need to do orders. And then, yeah, I have a Christmas party to go to for Amber's Rotary Club. And then Michael broke the transfer case in his car. So we got to rip a transfer case out and get it swapped out. Yeah. Transfer case swapped out. You know, I love the smell of magic smoke, but burnt gear oil, it never was for me. You know, guys, I started out as a machinist. That's how I switched over to controls. How come I'm freaking filthy and you're so clean?
I got exams.
Yeah, man, you guys tell him, I'm too old to be crawling under these vehicles.